Let's get over and done with it. Let's get that music in because we have breaking news. And the breaking news is that our friend Alfred has finally decided to get his gear on and his shit together, and he is coming ashore in Moreton Island, around just to the northeast of Coomera, in the next hour or 45 minutes. It is. You can see here on the radar. Oh, if I better move down the road for you, you can see that. Cool. That is his eye right there on Doppler. I've zoomed right in for you. This is a whole heat signal. That's radar, a radar blind spot. You can see here he is. This is his eye here. He is starting to move ashore. You can see there is the bottom of Moreton Island there. He's probably going to go right across Brisbane Airport, looking at that. Maybe just, actually no, Brisbane Airport's up further. So he's actually going to cross between Brisbane and the Gold Coast, somewhere northeast of Coomera, basically across those sort of canal-y sort of areas there. And yep, heading towards sort of like Browns, whatever it is there, Springfield, Jimboomba, maybe Amberley, but yeah, definitely going across a lot further south than expected. This is it here. He's probably going to wobble around a little bit for the next hour or so, but he's definitely starting his west-southwest move. His little northward jaunt is over. You can see the sort of general circulation here, but this is definitely the low sort of level sort of surface here. If I was to zoom out a bit more for you, you'll see it pretty clearly. Here he comes here. This is just all sort of running around. You can see his eye starting to get quite wide and loose now. He is in the final stages of finally finishing his terrorising of the southeast Queensland and North New South Wales coasts and areas. Does not mean that the weather is over. If we go and look at the rain now, we'll zoom in. You can see very clearly where the strongest eye wall is. There are actually some very strong storms inbound for the Gold Coast now. And anybody in that area, basically between Kingscliff and south of Brisbane Airport, prepare yourself from pretty intense flash flooding and extreme heavy rainfall and slow moving. But this is definitely the end of Alfred. He's finally coming ashore, and he's basically not following any of the models at all, which is interesting here. And the fact that he's a little bit further south than what he is could be another indication for what's to come for us, but I guess we'll see now. It is a lot earlier too. It's 12 hours earlier, maybe 10 hours earlier than was expected initially, and that may allow him to scoot away from that next steering mechanism and get down closer to us perhaps, and cause more impact. We don't know. I guess we'll find out. But he is definitely coming ashore, and you can see there is some pretty severe weather right now between, even right down to ocean shores, and pretty wake the poor little visitors up down in ocean shores. But you can see right up there is absolutely torrential rain. There would be pretty severe flash flooding anywhere east of Bow Desert to Browns Plains and sort of Brisbane, and anywhere east of the coast. Please prepare yourself for a pretty strong, significant storm surge. Localized flash flooding, life-threatening flash flooding, absolutely. You can see this eye wall here, this redness, that is the eye wall of Alfred coming ashore right now. That is some pretty serious activity, and that is going to smack into anywhere from basically just north of SeaWorld right down to Coolangatta and Kingscliff. Prepare yourself for some serious weather. Just a heads up, anybody in those areas now, please make sure that they're either evacuated into the safety of their QSES or SES, or they're at home safely locked up inside and ready for this onslaught, because it is coming now. He's still moving very slowly, so he's not going to clear. So that is the absolute concern now. This eye wall is going to strafe the Gold Coast and North New South Wales, and also anywhere sort of north to Brisbane Airport. North of that still there's some rain and gusty showers that you'll see, and maybe even a gusty storm might develop. But again, if you just joined on, thank you for dropping in again. Just to let you know that Alfred is starting to cross the coast, and active crossing up He's actually intensified quite significantly. He's developed a very strong eye wall. That's what that red on that radar is showing us. But go back to the Doppler radar, you'll see these different colours here. That is an area of extremely strong winds, and he may even get to category 3 as he comes across, because there are some very strong winds in there. But there's definitely his eye wall we're seeing there. He's definitely starting to move ashore. He's actually increased a little bit in speed. As you can see, he's sort of gone in the last hour. He's actually probably gone maybe 10 or 15 kilometres perhaps. We'll see with the next update. But he definitely looks like he's coming ashore within the next 45 minutes to an hour, and he'll slowly move ashore. Like, he's not going to get to ashore and then just race off. But it's more the purpose of this live now is to actually warn people in that area to absolutely take whatever action you can to make sure you are safe from flash flooding, you are safe from inundation, from storm surge, and also creek and canal flooding as well, because it is going to start rapidly rising. Now there's been sustained falls across the catchment now for the past probably hour and a half, 2 hours. And we go quickly to look at radar rainfall, which just shows us the accumulation. We can see at 9 a.m. it's starting to really pile up, and we're over 100 across the mountains again. But again, even across here, we're starting to get 50, 60, 70 millimetres. But you can see this, even this last 50 minutes, are really starting to pile up, and that will start to get more and more. 10 mils in 15 minutes, 20 mils in 15 minutes is a lot of rain. And it will start to increase and get heavier and heavier as that eye wall starts to push in. So please, if you are in that area, please take absolute action now to make sure you protect yourself. You're inside, you're safe. And we can look here. This is the accumulated potential falls for the next 5 minutes. And we can see what is going to be. Let's go here. We can see it's not going to do it for tonight. We can see it's going to, not going to do it, maybe 10 minutes. Oh, let's get to the time period, that's my do. You can see like there is a lot of rain going to fall. In 20 minutes you've got this amount of rain, up to 20 mils. Yeah, it's going to get very wet very soon. You can see those massive falls with that. And it is going to really cause a lot of issues. And you can see massive falls. So please be prepared, be ready. It may not be like torrential like you get in a storm, for example. It'll just be solid, heavy, consistent rain for that period of time. It'll rapidly accumulate, and you need to make sure, if you have not, please make sure that you are in a place that is safe now, protected from any rising floodwaters, protected from any that's inundation from storm surge, because it is going to be pushing ashore now. As I said, the eye wall is starting to push ashore, basically from is whatever island that is, Moreton Island I think it is, right through down to Kingscliff, and even a bit further south than that. But the main eye wall is actually basically between Kingscliff and Moreton Island. It is starting to push ashore, and you can see there will be embedded tornadoes, probably embedded water spouts. There will be significant storm surge starting to push ashore. There is going to be life-threatening flash flooding and canal flooding. So please, if in those areas, look after yourselves. Take precautions now. Moving you need to high ground. Just double check if you've got any culverts or drains or storms. Make sure, look out the window, just check that they're okay, that you're okay, and it is going to get hectic. Now, it's going to get windy as well. I know at this stage some of these people in the areas may not have got wind. Again, ignore that hold, it's just a radar thing, but there is plenty of very, very strong winds starting to move in now. There is this consistent, probably 90 to 100 kilometre an hour winds now across most of the Gold Coast, stretching north to at least Logan, and it's going to get even worse as this eye wall does start to push in. This area here is not a hole, it's actually where the wind and the Doppler actually starts going backwards, so it's probably 120, 130 k's an hour, and those little red blots are probably 150 k's an hour. It is going to get hectic, so please make sure that you are safe, you've taken the precautions. Hopefully you've listened the last 4 days and our live streams are urging you to make sure that you've checked your surroundings, and here we go. It's been something that it's been taking a freaking long time, but it is now finally happening, and it's probably going to be a sigh of relief for a lot of people, because it's a bit earlier than was sort of expected as well. But yeah, it is starting to come ashore. You can see the eye wall fattening up as it hits the ground. You can see this extra eye wall here, another eye wall developing as it is, so it'll do that now for the next couple of hours, and then we'll see just how it pushes across shore. You can see already it's starting to come across Moreton Island. and that will start to rapidly impact the low-level circulation centre. We expect it probably to start unwinding pretty quickly because it doesn't necessarily have the surface support that it has. But upstairs, don't forget that mid-level vorticity stacked. It's still quite aggressive, and it'll still churn away for a few hours or less. So the danger is not over. And in fact, the danger on the southwestern and the southern side and the southeastern side is going to persist for a number of hours. As you can see, this big inflow band now. If I was to zoom out a bit more and give you more capacity, look at this, it is dragging water right around. And this is that sort of a more subtropical feature now here where you've got like this sort of inflow band. It's not a true cyclone, it's not that symmetrical side, but it's still got some convection also now developing on the northeastern side, which means it's sort of tapping into a little bit more moisture. It's dropping that wind shear that's been harassing it, and it's probably going to stiffen up a little bit as it does come ashore, so be prepared. But it is definitely starting to put across, anywhere pretty south of Point Lookout, maybe right on Point Lookout, maybe a bit further south. It's hard to see because it is a bit sloppy and loose, but you can see it is around there. And these eye walls, storms, and these features here, you can see this really fattening up here now, like really fattening up. That is going to be insane rainfall. So again, I just anybody in those areas. There may be a brief lull coming in. You can see there's a line of green where things might line up. If you think, oh my God, he's just talking shit, please do take me seriously. It is going to develop. And as it comes across the line, these things are going to fatten up and they're going to continue to bucket down. And if you do not take this situation with the due serious and care and attention that it needs, you could find yourself in a position that is life-threatening. Don't forget the QSCS and SCS people have families and friends as well. And they don't put themselves at risk because someone made poor decisions. So make the right decision now. Get yourself inside, buckle down, get some movies, Netflix, or get some music going. Give yourself a nice drink or two or three, but stay inside. Make sure your pets are looked after, and keep an eye, especially when the rain gets heavy. Keep an eye on the door sills, window sills. Make sure with the winds that there's no water coming under them. Keep an eye on any low areas. And again, if things start coming, start to pull up near your doors, put towels against it to stop the water coming in. That's a good, effective way. And anybody along that coastal area where there's risk of storm surge, just I hope you've taken advice and you've either decamped or you're up high enough. And don't think just because you're 86 floors above the sea that you're going to be fine, because don't forget that there is electricity coming through your basement. It doesn't come from the sky magically. And so, you're not going to have lifts, maybe not have aircon, all that sort of things are going to be at risk as well. So just make sure you've got plenty of fresh water, placed away. You've got supplies that you can open up with a can opener, for example, if you don't have any power, baked beans, things like that you can snack on, because if this gets hectic, you may not get anybody to you for a period of time. So focus on looking after yourself, make sure you're safe, check on your neighbours if you're in an area that you can safely check on your neighbours. Especially if you have elderly neighbours or any people with disabilities, please check on them because they're often not looked after or maybe forgotten in the hullabaloo. And emergency services are stretched to capacity at the moment, I'd imagine, with all the stuff that's going on. So it doesn't take 2 seconds for you just to quickly check on somebody, make sure they're all good, and that's what we do as a community. We look after each other. Just repeating again, if you've just joined us, it looks like the Alfred is starting to come ashore somewhere around Point Lookout or just south, which is Moreton Island. It still may push across the Brisbane airport. It's still it's wobbling around a bit. You can see here this general circulation is quite wide because it's starting to unwind, but there is eye wall action. These bandings of the eye wall are now pushing across the anywhere south of Brisbane airport, and there is significant, severe precipitation, heavy rain, flash flooding, life-threatening flash flooding. And there's no doubt there'll be storm surge piling up as well now as that eye wall pushes up against the coast, and the water in front of it that's built up like a big dome will now start to find somewhere to go. And thankfully though that behind it should start to quickly pass away. But doesn't mean that the weather will, because you can see he's now starting to get a really nice, symmetrical sort of band. It's not quite symmetrical yet, but it's a lot better than it's looked. You can see that even the eastern side is now starting to wrap around convection, and he's pulling stuff from well out in the ocean. So unfortunately, people sort of south of Byron Bay and stuff are going to still be copping it for a period of time because these bands are going to wrap in around. But the good news is once he does start to get across shore and he loses that lower level vorticity, these bands will pretty start flowing in so much to the east or northeast, west or northwest, they'll start to sort of head down more towards the southwest and west. So just again repeating, Alfred is starting to come ashore at last for the long-suffering people of the southeast Queensland and Northern Rivers areas, New South Wales. But it's not over. Please do not take any risks. Just wait till you get the all clear from emergency services. You can see here he's definitely starting to come ashore. You can see some of the exposed coast now after the rain. And this sort of filled in area here is definitely, the end of him as he starts to fall apart. You can see if I take the base scan off, you can see a bit more of the detail of this precipitation. I like to use the base scan because it gives you a direction of the winds, because it helps me pinpoint where the eye is. And you can see the eye is definitely around here somewhere, so he's just about all over the land, starting to clip it now. He's probably starting to really come ashore. I wonder if Point Lookout's got any weather stations. It's going to be interesting to see what the winds are there, but there's going to be some severe gusts along here, no doubt. And this line here will definitely have some very, very strong winds and very heavy rain, so just prepare yourself. You're about to hear what it is to be like in a decent tropical cyclone, and could be even possibly approaching Category 3 just in this eye wall alone. We saw before that those Doppler returns are pretty strong. I was thinking to hop on and tell you that. I was going to try and post a radar image, and I thought, bugger it, it's better if I tell people in person, because people can then play it back if they need to. But yeah, he's coming ashore. Finally, after 5 days and a couple of 1,000 kilometres, he's made his mind up at last where he would like to call home, and it's going to be on the Moreton Islands, around about Point Lookout, or just south of Point Lookout. Again, it's going to bring all those areas along between Brisbane Airport right through to the Coolangatta, and then south, of course, from Tweed Heads down to pretty ocean shores, and maybe even a bit further now into play in terms of gusty winds, gale force winds, flash flooding, life-threatening flash flooding, and storm surge, especially from Coolangatta north, near that eye wall, as it just pushes across and pushes that water ahead of him. Once he gets across the shore, you should find that storm surge should start to back off a bit, although on the southern side here, you still have these inflow bands coming in, but they'll start to curve more from the southeast and then sort of south-southeast as he unwinds a bit, and that should stop the direct stuff coming across the coast, even though there'll still be massive waves, of course, but the actual pushing mechanism of the wind and the low pressure sort of dome as it comes ashore will be less, and you should start to see not so much threat from storms, although there will be still massive waves, so please don't go metal detecting on the beach. It's just stupid. Again, don't go sightseeing if you can. Please avoid that, because there's going to be a lot of carnage on the road. There's going to be a lot of low water around the place, especially around the canals and across the beaches, of course. There's no doubt there's going to be a bit of damage, and I really hope that they've taken some action about those animals. At SeaWorld out here, which is right in the middle of this eye wall, they've obviously prepared SeaWorld appropriately, that everything there is going to be safe and sound. I mean, most of it's in the water, so you think it'd be okay, but they're still at risk from debris and stuff falling into the water too, don't forget, because they can't necessarily run away, and they can't hop out and sort of jump in the next pond. So I'm sure the dedicated staff there have actually taken whatever they've done, but that has got an eye wall going straight across SeaWorld right now. And anybody in those canals there who's got a lovely big house, may have an extra pool or 3 at the moment. But please, just a reminder, there is an eye wall now. Alfred is starting to come ashore, which means that the next probably 4 hours or so is going to be pretty hectic. He is slow moving. He's going to have these eye walls wrapping in from the southeast, and they'll start from more the east, and then they'll start the southeast, and then they'll come in from the south, and that's when he'll start to sort of unwind, is when they sort of starts to change directions. You can see they'll put in another little one replacing this main one here, this one developing here, as he pushes up into the stuff, but he is coming ashore, and this is probably now that period of life-threatening flash flooding that we've been talking about, that the Bureau's been warning about for a period of time. But there is good news that the end is in sight. It's 10 hours earlier than anybody would expect, the models expected. And that is good news for the long-suffering people of that area who've had, a couple of days of some wild, woolly weather. Although not so much a couple of days, people thought it was going to be no cyclone, but I hope they've now changed their minds. Just a reminder, if you're in those areas now, you've got any good photographs or videos you want to send through, please send through. We'll definitely post them for you. absolutely. But please be ultra careful of taking it. We don't want you to put yourself at risk just to get a silly video. If you can do so in a shaded and protected area, of course, then absolutely send it through. We'll put it straight up. And you can just DM that to the page. The messages are open, so you can send it through anytime. Alright, it's just, I know it's a bit late. I didn't want to necessarily jump on myself, but as I said, I needed to explain this probably better in person and show you what I'm seeing, just so you can help friends and family who may be in that area, just know what's going on. Like, he's definitely moved ashore quite a lot as we've even been talking here. You can see he's basically almost cleared that first part of Morton Island there, and it looks like that eye wall is now starting to approach around. I can't tell the stuff is, the labels there are so bad. Anybody around that area can help me with, that'll be great. I'll see if I can find, there is like a minor and major, where the hell's that gone? It's been like a minor and major sort of location, you can pick it, but it looks like they've taken it off the radar. Let's have a look if I can see it here. River basins overlay, well that's probably not going to be good. Locations, okay, that's not helpful, is it? Maybe if I zoom into 64, they might give me. Anyway, anywhere around Logan definitely. Logan, Brisbane Airport, coastal stuff between Coomera and Brisbane Airport. Please be ready for a eye wall coming in right and hot now. It is going to get nasty, absolutely nasty. And if I can turn on, that gives you a better idea. It takes us to that. And if I can turn the Doppler on now, you can see that is just nasty. That's not a gap there, by the way. That is probably a light blue, which means it's going from this dark blue and it's going back again. It's hard to tell. And this brown here, that's not gaps either. That's actually very strong winds, very, very strong winds as well. So you can see it is absolutely going absolute. This is not the eye wall here, by the way. This is just, I'm not sure what this is. I think it might be like there may be some sort of mountain or group of trees sort of near the radar, and that's the effect it has. It sort of has a bit of a blind spot because there's definitely not wind there. There's definitely wind there. And it could even be surf spray and that sort of stuff too, because that's how strong the winds and stuff are. That could be sea spray, it could be foam, it could be anything being up in the air. And that's what it does when the atmosphere is just sort of smashed up. Even while we've been talking, you can see he's just really starting to unwind a bit. You see it's getting a bit straggly now, it's a bit sort of over the place. We'll go back to a bit more of a widespread. You can see like that still has a beautiful sort of circular curve, and that's sort of the other edge of it. So don't forget, this is like not one area. It's a circle, so almost a circle. So there's multiple aspects that will come ashore, but the main, obviously, the severe aspect is the first initial part, because that's where the whole storm. Because don't forget that clouds and stuff weigh as well. They just don't not weigh anything. So they've got this mass of weights pushing against the air, which is what's squeezing it. So that's what causes this huge amount of rain, or this winds, is the air being squeezed between the two weather systems, and they're just like ramming into each other, and that is what's causing that rain and that sort of system. But you can see that little curve now. You can see the eastern side is actually really starting to unwind. Like, he was actually starting to intensify there. So if I was to go back, interestingly here, like, he did actually start to intensify, and it was just like he started to come ashore, because when he starts, I'll just go through the flame. You see how it starts to wrap around there? He's intensifying. So he's getting that symmetrical torque that JCWC and the Bureau talked about, like a true cyclone surge. He was actually intensifying there. And I think if he stayed up, he probably would have got to category 3, because he was intensifying. You can see new eye wall storms and stuff here that were not there before. And he's been rarely had sort of convection on this side. He's intensifying there. And, thankfully for the people of Southeast Queensland, he then starts to hit whack into Morton Island, and you can see that starts to be displaced and starts to fall apart, luckily, because he was starting to wind up, I think, and you can see this is the outcome here. You can see this massive bands of nasty activity here. That is definitely an indication he was actually starting to wind up. So I think everybody's dodged the bullet there. Definitely, he was looking to me like he was going to get hit cat 3, but Morton Island decided to run to the defence of Brisbane and the Gold Coast people, and it has actually saved probably a potential category 3. Although there'll be a lot of reanalysis of this, of course, done after the event. They'll go through and check all these wind readings, and they'll check AWS data, and there's pretty ships out there, no doubt. And they'll get all that stuff. They'll look at Doppler again. They'll get some some analysis by putting AI look at it as well, give it what its opinion is. but it is still going to be nasty. So don't, because it's crossing there. You can see this eye wall, massive eye wall developing right now, like this massive eye wall here, right from almost Point Lookout, wrapping right around out to the coast. That is going to cause severe conditions, and it's coming ashore now. Let's zoom back in again because it's coming ashore now in Gold Coast any minute now within. So Coomera is getting it net, just about to get it now. Southport is about to get it now, pretty within the next 30 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. So 15 to 30 minutes, you've got this owl coming, and you can see this line of red. It is nasty. So you think it's going to get better, it's not. And the winds are so strong, like it's just blown out the Doppler, so it's only trying to see how strong those winds are. But I can see now that is nasty rainfall. And you can see all those red spots are potential storms, embedded storms. There's no lightning with it at this stage, but doesn't mean, that still means that there's going to be significant flooding and extremely heavy rain, torrential rain. And you can see that red line coming in. It's going to be a big score line. It'll look impressive from the beach, I can tell you. It'll be like a big, dark sort of, Lord of the Rings type, sort of into Middle Earth type look for it, but it is going to be pretty nasty. And it's starting, it's definitely going to Coomera now. Don't forget, this radar is already 5 to 7 minutes delayed anyway, so it's pretty actually in Coomera, it's pretty in Southport. It's about to plough into Miami. Coolangatta hasn't had much break from anyway, but it's going to get another burst. But it is going to intensify, so anywhere basically south of Logan, get ready for a few hours of life-threatening flash flooding. The storm surge will still be going right now, and it's going to be its peak for the next couple of hours while this band here, and you can see it's actually fattening up and thickening as it hits the shore as well. And that's a classic thing of it will do that until the LLCC, or the low level circulation centre, starts to sort of really unwind and lose its potency, and then they will just turn into like a massive rain, which is, don't forget, it may not be torrential, but accumulation is the thing that's going to be your enemy now. It won't necessarily be the intensity of the fall, or the fact that the catchment now will be absolutely soaking wet, and anything that runs is just going to run straight up. And so if you get 10 hours at 3 or 4 mils an hour, that's going to seem like it's 100 mils in 5 minutes, because it just has nowhere to run and nothing to absorb it. I'll quickly say hello to everybody while I'm here. Thank you for that, Peter. No surprise there. Gold Coast is copying it. Thanks, Chris. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Deborah. Good. There's definitely some live too. Thank you so much, Lola Love, for your gift. That's so appreciated. Thank you for that. And just go to YouTube and look it up. You'll find People's pretty quick. It's one of the it's being promoted at the moment, I think. G'day Misha, you are welcome. You are welcome, everybody, for keeping you updated. I'm sorry it's a bit late. Hopefully people aren't too complacent, but it is absolutely pushing ashore right now. I really feel this is now when it gets, the shit hits the fan. To be quite frank with you, this is when it gets nasty. Like before, it's like, cyclones are a bit fun. Until they get this, then they go through this this next thing for probably 2, 3, 4 hours maybe as well. Depends how quickly he sort of clears. And at the end they'll be going like, now I know where people say cyclones can be really, really scary and dangerous. It's just constant strong winds, constant thrashing rainfall, and that howling, that god-awful howling like you're in some sort of horror movie. That's probably the part that you just, even now I get goosebumps when I just remember my experiences. And I was in a pretty big Category 5 cyclone up in near Darwin many, many years ago, called Cyclone Thelma. She was a beast, and she came within, I think it was like 100 k's up in Darwin. Like it was just to our northwest. Thank God she didn't come across. But even then, we're getting Category probably 2 winds and stuff actually in the top end, and it was literally the scariest noise you probably ever hear. And it did not stop. It was like that god awful howling that some dogs can make when they're like really in sort of pain, but it was just persistent for 14, 20 hours, whatever it was, and just the thrashing rain. It is, I mean, I live for it because it's something that, obviously as a weather nerd, just something that's, when you understand the complexities and the science that goes, all the ingredients that are needed to form a cyclone, it's just not like, just doesn't happen and hey, here I am. You've got the Coriolis effect of the earth has to actually play a part. You've got winds at different levels that have to play a part. You've got sea surface temperatures. You've got shear. You've got polar outflow channels. You've got even Antarctica that has to play its role in sucking all this dry air away. Like it's all these things that come together. So while they are, they're a horrific thing for people to go through, and they actually are quite an amazing scientific experience too as well. So, but man, those people in the Gold Coast now are going to be going through it, absolutely. And you can see it again backing right up into Moreton Island. In fact, Brisbane Airport's going to cop it within probably an hour and say if that makes it through. Wow, you can see that. Wow, that's just updated. It must have been missing a frame, but you can see right now it's just ramming through that. And look at it, it's just actually getting redder and redder. Wow. And there's another little eye wall developing here. You can see there's a little kink here. So we saw Point Lookout was actually quite bare now, and it's actually got again. We go for velocity. Look at the Doppler. She's here somewhere. You can see it's really starting to just push ashore. This wind's here are the different levels, I think. Because don't forget there's those different sort of level of vorticities too. It's not going to be just complete hole because it's not a true circular symmetrical cyclone. It hasn't got that little beautiful crystal clear eye. It's a bit ragged and all over the place because of the dry area and the vertical wind shear it's had to endure over its time. But it is arriving, and it will take a number of hours to clear, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's still going to 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's still pushing through. I mean, by then it should well be into into the inner west of the Brisbane area, in the back of Amberley, maybe even further. That we'll just see. No promise of that, but this is just extraordinary what we're seeing here now. There is going to be absolutely horrendous rain, and let's have a look. We can look at that. Hopefully that radar rainfall's updated again. Let's have a look at that and see how much that's just updated in. Yeah, you can see look at that beautiful little circular. Look how much. And so if we just go that's the last 15-30 minutes. Look at that rain just bucketing down. You can see that eye wall here which is coming in, and you can see since 9 a.m. now they're really starting to really accumulate a lot of falls, and be thankful this is what's moving towards them. This blob of 150, 200 millimeter is actually moving in that way, and again it's going to ram into poor old northern New South Wales. Now the good thing about it is that there's not been too bad falls around Lismore. Right over Lismore is not going to worry them too much. It's up in these areas here, but there is a blind spot here, so it's not just one magic line. There is a bit of a blind spot here from that radar. So if we were to go to Grafton, for example, we'll just check that. It'll probably give us a backdoor sort of picture. See, it gives us a better picture. So you can see around, that's where Grafton radar is. And you can see again, just we can't zoom out unfortunately, this is as far as it goes, but look at those hills around the back of Coffs Harbour. They've had over nearly 300 millimetres. And that's what I was saying, those exposed areas like Ebor Falls, all that sort of stuff around here, 200 millimetres plus just since 9 a.m. And there is going to be massive and substantial flooding right down from Kempsey all the way through up into Maclean at this stage. Grafton would definitely starting to be worried about that. You can see all these little pockets of absolute massive falls, and they'd be all exposed escarpment. And basically that line you can see down there is basically the Great Dividing Range anyway. So the eastern edge of it, but you can see it's pushing up over into the back here. I mean, I think it's just around Tenterford. I think it sort of starts to stop, and then you can see exactly where the rain is. You can see basically where the wind's sort of piling up, and then it sort of stops. So that would be the very sort of eastern edge, and these white areas here. There's been rain there. It's above the radar band, so the radar can't pick it up. That's why it's white, not because it hasn't been raining. And there's quite. I think if I remember the escarpment stuff gets up pretty high to decent levels, and because Grafton radar is quite close, the radar wouldn't have got up above it, so it's just missing the rain. It's not raining. But nearly 300 millimetres behind Coffs Harbour here. It's going to be absolutely fanging through. And again, you can see the back of Lismore, 50 to 60 millimetres is decent falls, but that's not going to worry the river. You think as much because, but then if you go to, let's share the last 3 days. Again, I think Lismore might dodge a bullet. I know we're all worried about it, but you can see there's only 100 millimetres, and that's going to, but most of the bad stuff is to its east, and that's not going to worry them at all. That's 200 millimetres just to its east. They won't care about that. It's the stuff up in here. That's the stuff, back at Casino, Kyogle. That's the stuff that's going to come down. This stuff to the west east, it'll all run out through Ballina, and that's the stuff that won't worry them at all. So, I mean, it looks like they may dodge a bullet with this. Down here though, maybe not, over 300 millimetres already in those areas, which means the Bellingen River, the Kempsey, then Bucket Heads, that stuff, they're going to be facing some challenges, no doubt, over the next 24, 48 hours as all that rains through. And there's definitely some, the McLean River here, through Yamba and Grafton, that sort of stuff, going to have some troubles as well because they've got some pretty substantial falls here. Again, this could be because it's between the radars too, so I'm not saying that there's not that falls. Please don't think that I'm saying that. It's just that it's in that really awkward area where there's no, I can't see what the accumulated rainfall is. I can only go to Brisbane or I can go to Grafton, and it's just like, you see, like, it's all to the east and towards the coast of Lisbon. You can see here, and this line is where basically there's that sort of delineation with the radar, so I'm not sure. I mean, there is this massive fall here, but I think that's actually on the, that's on the Gold Coast side, and that'll come down this way because this is a river here through to Coolangatta. That's the Tweed River, I believe, which is very famous for actually making the border for New South Wales and Queensland, if I remember. But that won't affect Lismore, of course, because this comes through up to here. But I think Lismore, cross my fingers, is going to be okay. Not that I'm saying it's going to get any flooding, but it looks like it may just escape it. But we'll see. As again, we don't have this hole in the back here fixed. I mean, what's behind there that we could try? See, Moree, Namoi, just way too far away to give us any picture. Grafton, as we just saw, is still way too far away as well. We'll try Marburg, because Marburg is a different, older one. We'll see what it's got to say. Yeah, again, see, it's all up on this stuff as you're going to go through here. It's the back end, and there's still some heavy fall stuff there. You might say the river won't rise, but it looks like to me that Lismore might have dodged a bullet. Fingers crossed for them. But it's not, I'm not officially saying that. I'm just saying what my opinion is looking at that. So, don't get too agitated or upset about that. I'm not dismissing them at all. I'm just saying I think they have actually managed to dodge a bullet, which is so good news after what they've gone through over a period of time. But going back to the people in the moment, that eyewall now is actually really ramming right through the Gold Coast. And you can see how slow it's moving. That is going to bring substantial flooding. And you can see here, it's just fattening up behind it. You can see the eye here sort of wobbling around. It's not going to be much longer before it starts to really catch that coast and unwind. It's starting to unwind already. As you can see, it's starting to look a bit ragged. It's got that sort of eggy shape to it. And you can see the eastern side is really starting to get ragged too. Like before, I had that beautiful circle. You can see it's just like it gets to here and it goes almost evaporates. This stuff here is interesting in itself because that means that that stacked vorticity, so the mid and upper levels is still actually quite strong because that's where that's pulling that in from. And if he goes across earlier and does that down there, then I think it is game on for us, and I think we are going to be looking at a pretty decent rain event, to be fair, because you can see the depth and fetch of the moisture that he's basically dragging down from way up in the Coral Sea. And again, I'll say it right now, I think that Queensland and Gold Coast and Northern New South Wales dodged a bullet. I think that if he'd been out there for another 6 hours, 10 hours, he would be Cat 3. You could see him just starting to wind up and get pretty serious. You can see this moisture wrapping in and then suddenly catches the coast, not as strong as he was before, and he just loses that ability to suck in the moisture from far away. Alrighty. I think we might just might call you all to God. I think that's pretty what I can do. Oh, you can see that their radar's been hammered now because we're going to wait for the file. There we go. You sort of get this really close look. It hasn't got a true eye, and as such, it's just like a low level circulation center. And so I definitely think that seems like last round's going to be a bit of a northwest kick, doesn't it? But I think that could be because it's just hitting the land and sort of wobbling around and falling apart. But it could also be that upper ridge trough that the Bureau was talking about. Maybe just get that north-south wobble that they were talking about as well. Hard to tell. It could be just because the eye is actually elongating because it's actually hitting land and it's starting to sort of unwind. Who knows? But we'll keep an eye on it. But you can see definitely that it's really starting to push through. And the Gold Coast, of course, is right in the firing line, and it's going to start pushing into Brisbane and the south of Brisbane as well, and Brisbane Airport very soon. You can see it's coming straight for you. and this stuff from the south has still got a long way to process. So, yeah, you still got a few hours of pretty hectic weather ahead. So please just remember to check your door seals. Anywhere that might be low lying, just check there's no water pooling in. With the winds that are, on the exposed sides of the winds, make sure you've got some towels and stuff under, like where door seals you need to, or window seals, just so something doesn't blow through. Often people forget about that, and the wind will blow water through. Yeah, and then good luck with the mold and the smell and the swollen doors for the next few days. The old tropics days. Okay. I think that's probably it. I think I've bored everybody to death at all, but no, I've given you all the information I can. It's really just people got to sit tight now, pay attention to updated warnings. In fact, we can probably have a look at Queensland Bureau right now. I think, couldn't we? Yeah, let's go to Queensland Bureau right now, because they would have just had a update. Let's see what it says. No, it was like an hour ago, so they're a bit actually behind. Yes, actually look, he's coming ashore. Transmitters between Moreton Bay and Cape Morton and Southport using the standard emergency warning signal now. That means danger. If you're in that area, I'd love to hear it. See if you can get it. It'll be on your radio, it'll be on television, it'll be anywhere you can see it. So 10 o'clock, so it's issued only like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. So they are the same view of me. I didn't see this first time I've seen it, but if they're using the SEWS or the standard emergency warning signal, it is on. So check it out if you can. I'd love to hear it. Yeah. You can see it's starting to wind down a bit. 95 k's to 130 k's an hour. Crossing over at the moment. They said might cross over one Bay Islands during Saturday morning, which is which is what he's doing now basically. Yeah, that little northwest kick that I was just talking about. Yeah. Heavy rainfall bands to continue to move over southeast Queensland. Dangerous and life-threatening flash flooding, which is what I said, and increasing to Saturday, which is what I've said. Once it crosses the coast, it's likely weak below tropical cyclone strength on Saturday. However, heavy to locally intense rainfall is expected to continue in near and south of the system during the weekend, as we just talked about before. Abnormally high tides and storm surge, of course, is happening. We all know about that. And damaging wind gusts 220 k's an hour between Cape Morton and Yamba, as we just talked about that. And they're expected to adjacent inland areas during Beerburrum and Ballina tonight as well, and exposed coastal locations to Double Point Island during Saturday morning as you approach the coast, as we know. Destructive wind gusts up to 150 k's an hour may develop to the Moreton Bay Islands and exposed coastal locations from tonight, which is what they're doing now, I think, as this destructive core approaches the coast, which is what it's doing. And the destructive winds may persist until Alfred crosses the coast early Saturday morning, which I think it will do as well. And so if they're using the SEWS, the SEWS, then they are definitely saying it's crossing. I think that it's a bit closer than what they've said that there now. That was at 10 p.m. That's an hour and a bit ago. I think that's definitely closer here. I think they're just, But it's going to take a slow time because that the sort of west-northwest kink that it's got, which is what we sort of talked about earlier. Although we'll just see what it does when it hits, because I think it's a bit lower than that. I think it's hitting around here. And don't forget, it's not that little dot. The eye is like this big circle. So even that little dot says there, it's already hitting the coast there. This is why. And I think as it hits that, it'll actually drag it, because the friction of the land will actually drag it a bit, maybe more west. We'll see. Maybe it's the land that'll kick it more northwest. Who knows? I guess we'll see which of the models were right in going ahead. Now, I just wanted to check New South Wales and see if we had was any the flood threat advice for us. Tweed, Wilson's, Macleay. It's the Richmond River through Lismore, isn't it? Major flooding possible on from Saturday morning. River lies occurring across the upper reach of Revel. Moderate flooding is likely at Wirangi during Saturday. Major flooding is likely at Kyogo early Saturday morning, with major flooding possible at Casino this afternoon. No, at the Casino, that's not. Is that Lismore? No, because they would have mentioned Lismore. I thought it was Richmond River. That's not what we're talking about. I said there was pretty problems there, didn't I? What's the one that goes to Lismore, people? Is that the Wilsons River? Yeah. Major flooding is likely at Lismore early Saturday morning. River levels near the height of the Lismore levee are possible late. What does it mean? River levels near the height of the Lismore levee are possible during. Okay, they're saying the reason against the height of the levee. Flood rainfall is supposed to be forecast early into Saturday morning, which may result in rivers reaching the height of late Saturday morning. Since Wednesday, moderate to heavy rainfall has been recorded, which we just showed. Expected to continue to intensify from Saturday morning with the movement of Alfred. Forecast heavy intense. And that's the thing I guess I didn't think about as well, is that where he goes, if he goes a little bit more west, southwest, then definitely then Lismore, because the catchment is already prime, could be in trouble at all. It'll dump through there. But if he goes a bit more of a curve, which is what the Bureau was saying before, maybe not so much, and I hope that's what it is for the people of Lismore. But that's not what I was looking for. Well, let's have a look. I was looking for the flood threat advice. Where is that? Flood watch. That's northwest. Yeah, flood watch. That's the inner word stuff. So that's what I'm seeing. So they've seen men in Gloucester, Guiders inland, Maclay. Yeah, they haven't really factored nothing in coming down our way just as yet. But for the Hunter, definitely the main river, the fact that they've got a thing out for that, and the Gloucester as well, is really basically on your board. It's something to keep an eye on. This stage, once we get a bit, we should have a better. We definitely will have a better indication early in the morning with the models overnight as to where next is going to go, because he'll pretty clear the coast by then ahead of time, which means that they'll be playing you to catch up, I guess. But he's going also across a whole heap of AWSs and radar and that sort of stuff too, which is a lot more data for the models to process. Whereas being out to sea lately, it's been a lot of satellite data. So this is where we get a bit more accurate mapping and modelling going forward. So we should have a better idea tomorrow morning, and of course we'll keep you updated with that. Yeah, I can't see anything there that's anything that's important for us or relevant to us. I might just zoom that out a bit because that's annoying me. I know it's annoying you, but yeah, there's that eye wall that's just ramming through, and definitely that's the eye there. I know they've got it back here, but that's probably the dead center. But you can see the eye is just not. It's just not a fixed location. It's actually it's more bit of an oval now as opposed to a genuine circle. Okay, so I am going to clock off now. Of course, if there's any significant changes in the morning insofar as the models for us concerned, because obviously they're going to matter to Essex Queensland anymore, I definitely hop on and I'll give you a briefing live. It's better than just trying to write the post out, and we can cover a lot more quickly, a lot of stuff, and we'll see what the models throw up for us. Actually, let's have a quick look, because I think there may be a few 06s in now, which is normally shit to look at, but it still will be interesting to see if they're flagging any change now they've got this new data in. Wow, that's how much this site's been whacked. It's taking forever to actually load. Lots of people looking at the moment. They're all doing what I'm doing. Well, I'll try Windy then. Windy doesn't often have a lot of 06, that's the only problem. Let's go to wind gusts. We'll see which of these is out. 06. Okay, so we've got icon 06. Let's have a look what it says. We saw the rainfall before, which was a bit disappointing. I'll just go a bit, give it more. So there he is over there. Sunday, where's he going? Monday. This has still got this area here, which is good. This curve, this Nike flick, I call it the Nike flick here. That's what we want to see. And the fact it's a little bit north is a bit better. There's a sort of mid-level part of him there. Tuesday, what's he doing? Everybody's looking at models. Near the coast, you can see that flick is definitely over us then, which is good to see. And then you see that how it then diverges. That's what the worry is. Something's breaking it up, and I think it's this next system coming through. But again, that's still a few days out, so anything could happen between now and then. As we've seen in the last few days, there's all these ridges and troughs that have appeared that buffeted out around that they weren't on the radar there for one stage, and then suddenly they're a major player in the game. Good old Windy's getting flogged tonight too. Wow, alright, let's try and see if EC's 0, I don't think E06 will be out, so don't get too excited. No, yeah, 4 hours. Once the next one's not till 2 AM, I'm not being that late. Let's see if GFS. Oh yeah, 106 is out, let's have a look. There he is there. No, that's actually the upper ridge, which is bashing him around. It looks like he's gone there. he didn't make it at all. He didn't survive. Yeah, did not survive. Oh, there he is, magically just appearing out of nowhere. I don't know if that's actually ex-Albert or that's actually the a low and actual Chewy CL. You can see here, it could be ex-Albert because there's that weakness here that he's travelled down. See, there's not much wind at all. And there's all these other areas. This is the ridge building in behind, which is going to buffer him. Now, if he can get down ahead of that, he'll definitely come across this because see, he's going to get buffered like that, like a pinball, and he'll come down this way where it's the weakest. See the weakness here, the less winds, so he'll follow that as much as he can. So if he gets through that, then yes, there is definitely a chance. But he's a bit further down on the south coast according to GFS, which is not going to be good for anybody. And then he just absolutely gets washed out by that ridge. We've seen icons 06, haven't we? We did. Let's have a look at access. Access will probably be like EC, not to 2 o'clock in the morning, but we'll just double check anyway. Yeah, 1:55 a.m. Alright, I will just quickly look at, see if the other one's picked up yet, if it's going to work for us or it's just getting smashed. Yeah, poor old, look at that, they're getting absolutely hammered, their website. And I think I've lost it actually. The internet's going down, or their server's getting smashed. 524 I think is overload timeout response. Yep, I'm glad I got to share that radar before it died because we got it early. We knew since I saw like this is coming ashore. So again, we caught it before plenty other people did. No, it's dead. Sorry, I'm not going to do much more about that. Okay, I will hop off then. I can't share any. It's just dead as a doornail. Alright, have a great evening. Thank you so much to Vanessa Thorne for the stars. Well, greatly appreciated. Look after yourselves. Please, you've got family in those areas. Wish them my best. And we will update you in the morning, either live or the normal post that we do about what the what's just happened tonight. And hopefully we'll have some good videos and stuff to show you going forward. And to see exactly what a category cyclone looks like. What the after effects are. Alright, oh my god, it's been almost an hour. I said I was going to do this for 15 minutes. Alright, I wish you a good evening. I'll put up some lovely inspirational music for you. Take care, look after each other, and I'll chat to you tomorrow.